Everyone ready? Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for July 12th, 2021 is now in session. Would you stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. I'm Gary Merrill, President of the Board. To my left is Vice President Commissioner Barb Lewis. To my right is fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton. Vacant on the left here today. But we have our clerk, so we can begin. Let's proceed.
Resolution number 21-604, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held June 28th, 2021.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-604. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today. That brings us to item number 3, resolution number 21-605, in the matter of approving purchase orders and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM-APR 0709.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-605. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-606, in the matter of approving travel expense request.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-606. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-607, in the matter of accepting and approving the Delaware County Sheriff's Office transport report for the month of May 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-607. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-608, in the matter of proceeding with the submission of the question of levying a renewal tax with a decrease exceeding the 10 mil limitation for the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Christine Hodges, Superintendent of the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I'm here to simply say thank you for your support of our resolution and of our services, and on behalf of our board and the people we serve, I just want to convey my sincere appreciation.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, really, I mean, we discussed this in more detail recently as we were going through this process, so is this the last step
Yes.
to get it on the ballot then?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought.
The last step is getting it passed, right? So,
Yeah, we have a little ways to go here.
well, it's a worthy organization doing great things, and I'm sure it will be well received by the community. So, if there's no other questions or comments, vote.
Vote on motion 21-608. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-609, in the matter of authorizing the submitting of an application for the Victims of Crime State Victims Assistant Grant for Victim Services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Nicole Ford with the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. The Victim Services Unit in the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office would like permission to apply for the renewal of Victims of Crime Act and State Victims Assistant Act grants. The grant period is from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. We currently have our Victims Director, Trish Wright, Victims Assistant, Megan Powell, and Civil Protection Order Specialist, Meg Dillman, partially compensated from these grants. All of these positions are extremely vital to our Victim Services Unit, and they continue to support victims of crime around Delaware County and uphold the law by statute to provide victims assistance. We are requesting federal VOCA funds in the amount of $79,726.56, which includes a local match by the Commissioners of $15,945.31. We are requesting $2,106 in state SVAA funds, which requires no local match, and we would have the opportunity to renew the grant in 2022.
Any questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-609. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-610, in the matter of approving transfer of appropriations for Victims of Crime Grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
We are requesting a transfer of appropriations from the Victims of Crime Act Grant Compensation Fund to the Victims of Crime Act Grant Health Insurance Fund. The reallocation of these funds would get us through the grant period of September 30th of 2021.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-610. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Resolution number 21-611, in the matter of approving a contract between the Union County Board of Commissioners and the Delaware County Board of Commissioners regarding inmate housing.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Balzer, Chief Deputy with the Sheriff's Office. This is a renewal of the contract we have with Union County, allowing them to house inmates at our facility when they are over their allotment at the Tri-County Jail in Mechanicsburg. It is very infrequent. The past year, I don't think we had any, but prior to that, we'd have a handful each year. This just allows them, if they have reached their cap at their jail, to be able to house some inmates at our facility.
I assume they would reciprocate if the situation presented itself.
We haven't pursued that because Union County doesn't have a jail. They use the Tri-County, and we've not had a need to house any inmates here. So this is a little bit different than usual. This one is just a one-way, basically.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, the only question I had was just how much it's been used, but you answered that, so.
Just a handful. I suspect that since we've had it in effect, less than 10 for sure.
How many county inmates do we have from other counties in total now?
Right now, I did not look at the report this morning, but I believe we may only have one. We've had one long-term from Pike County, and then we occasionally have some from Knox County, Licking County. We have an agreement with Marion too,
Right.
but Knox and Licking are more common.
Okay.
Again, it's still just a handful. Usually it's something that there's a reason they can't house an inmate, just like we do. If there's a reason that we need to keep them separate from the rest of our population, they do the same thing. But it's nice to have that option available.
Oh, right. What's the capacity of the Licking County Jail? Do you know?
I do not know. I
Okay,
know it's more
just
than ours.
curious.
Ours is 286, I believe, and their capacity is larger than ours.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-611. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 21-612, in the matter of approving a supplemental appropriation for the 911 department.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Patrick Brandt, 911 Director. What we have before you is a $400,415.52 request of supplemental appropriation. The county recently put out an RFP for a fiber optics project, and this will be covering the 911's portion of that project.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-612. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Thank
Aye.
you.
Resolution number 21-613, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriation for the Child Support Enforcement Agency.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Joyce Bones, Director of Child Support. I'm here this morning just asking for appropriations to be moved from our machinery, equipment, and furniture to the general supplies so that we can purchase new chairs for the agency. We've not had new chairs since we moved in the building, so it's time to replace them.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-613. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution number 21-614, in the matter of approving the program year 2020 Target of Opportunity Program CARES Act Community Development Block Grant CARES Act Program Grant Agreement BD201AT4 with the Ohio Development Service Agency.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Daly, Economic Development. We applied for this CARES Act Target of Opportunity Grant to assist United Way in reaching their full capacity with the Emergency Rental Assistance Program through the Treasury Department that we applied for earlier this year. That program's already reached about $2 million in disbursements, and this is just helping them find the staffing to increase that burn rate and get that money out to the citizens who need it, residents who need it.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been waiting. Yeah, they have. And I can vote on this since I am now off the board of United Way. My term is completed, so.
Other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-614, Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 21-615, in the matter of approving an advance of funds and a supplemental appropriation for adult court services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Good morning, Kay Baglione with Adult Court Services. Yes, we are asking for this due to the many personnel changes in this past year and my being out of the office unexpectedly for the last 2 months. We need an advance to cover the shortage that has occurred in the 254 fund, and we should be able to reimburse that after having reorganized some funds.
Okay. Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-615, Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
And, go ahead.
Oh, we did them both together.
Oh, you did them both together?
Yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
That also
Thank you,
did
Kay.
the intensive supervision supplemental. Resolution number 21-616, in the matter of ranking for the best value of the 3 most qualified construction managers at risk for the Delaware County Bixby Campus DACC redevelopment for Delaware County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. Previously, we had ranked 3 firms most qualified for the CMR, and we requested pricing proposals from them. We received those pricing proposals, conducted interviews. We have 3 excellent firms competing for this. We, like I say, we reviewed their pricing proposals and then ranked it by pricing and also based on the interviews. It was very close, but the final ranking came up to be Gilbane, number 1, Elford, number 2, and Granger, number 3. With this, after the final ranking, we'll then enter contract negotiations with the firm ranked number 1.
Any questions or comments?
Got to ask the timeline.
And I knew he was gonna ask that.
Yes, I mean, they're ready to mobilize immediately, start working on some value engineering, reviewing the plans and stuff, working with the architect closely. We hope to get them under contract in the next couple of weeks. Again, they'll hit the ground running. Hopefully, we're still talking through the proposals and interviews. They're looking at possibly some early site packages. We're looking at some long lead time items that get those out for procurement early. Hopefully start construction this fall, October, November timeframe. And still looking at completion, hopefully first quarter, second quarter of 2023.
And we're talking about the main campus.
Yes, and we're talking about the main campus, which is the renovation of the existing building, the outbuildings, and the sheriff administration building.
I just want to make sure the sheriff's building.
Yep. There's a large balance of site work clear across the whole site, basically, so a lot of work out there, which added to the complexity of the project. We have to get some dirt moved around, even to start the sheriff administration building. The current building, obviously, is ready to start work right away, pretty much vacant. So that's kind of the complexity that's led to changing direction, going to construction manager at risk, too. I think that will help as well.
What about the road, the Glen Road extension?
Our civil engineer for this project has worked with the engineer's office, kind of coordinating grades and everything, and that's what has led to some of the site work complexity too as well. So, engineer's office can answer any timeline on the Glen Road project.
I think we have somebody from the engineer's office, so you might want to prepare for that question, Rob.
He's coming up in
Yeah.
a couple items. So yes. So
Okay.
Okay, vote.
Vote on motion 21-616, Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Resolution number
Thanks, John.
21-617, in the matter of approving a service agreement with Ohio Cat Power Systems for maintenance, repair, and testing services for the automated generator system at the Lower Scioto Water Reclamation Facility.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. This is a contract with Ohio Cat for us to install an automatic transfer switch at the Lower Scioto Treatment Plant. We have this at most of our other plants, especially the large plants, because it can be a safety concern to have to go in and open up that switch to switch back over to the grid power. It's 14,000 volts, so this is something we need to get done at this plant. It's a $38,000 contract.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-617, Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Before you leave,
Yeah.
was there a big event over the weekend that I think I read in the paper or something. You want to share?
Yeah, I bet you read that in the paper. No, they're not big anymore, you know, it's just another day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Any more?
Resolution number 21-618, in the matter of approving the repayment of an advance of funds from general fund dollars for the year 2021, approving supplemental appropriations and a transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. This resolution involves some accounting for some past federal aid road projects that we need to basically put the money in the right columns in the financial report. Some of that, or I should say the majority of this involves the South Old State Road project. We ended up receiving more grant funding in the construction phase than anticipated. That was basically rolled over from the right-of-way phase. And so basically that's, in essence, what the majority of this involves. There is also a line involving the Smothers Road and Red Bank project. That is basically accounting for the local share that we had to pay towards the federal grant match. So making sure that that shows up properly. And then there was a small amount for the Sunbury Road project that we did with Westerville several years ago, just Sunbury and County Line Road up to Maxtown. And so that was basically the same explanation there.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-618, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-619, in the matter of approving a right-of-way acquisition service agreement with West Erie Realty Solutions LTD for US 36 Carter's Corners, Domigan Road intersection improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
You may recall we are planning for some improvements at the US 36 and Carter's Corner, Domigan Road intersection involving turn lanes. We are asking for your approval to go into contract with West Erie Realty for the right-of-way acquisition services for this project. We've worked with their staff before. I don't believe we've worked directly with West Erie, but we know their staff well, and so we're confident they'll do a nice job with this.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-619, Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-620, in the matter of accepting the road, improving recommended speed limits, establishing stop conditions, and releasing the security for Oxford Woods.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This is a small subdivision in Oxford Township. The streets have been through the required one-year developer maintenance period, and so they're ready to go on the public system at this time.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-620, Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-621, in the matter of approving a ditch maintenance petition and the ditch maintenance assessments for Kurtz Brothers Delaware site.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Kurtz Brothers is developing a site off of South Section Line Road near the quarry. It's on the east side, just south of the Truco headquarters. This is the drainage maintenance petition that will put the drainage system on our public systems.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-621, Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-622, in the matter of approving the plats of subdivision for cottages of North Lake Woods North, a re-subdivision of lot 1217 of Four Winds Drive, Section 2, Garabrandt CAD at Villas at Old Harbor East, the Villas at Old Harbors West, Section 1, and Pyatt Preserve, Section 1, Phase A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Each of these plats has been approved by regional planning, and all the necessary sureties are in place to go ahead and ask for your approval at this point.
Questions or comments?
It's interesting, most of these are in Berlin Township.
They are. That seems to be.
Reflects just where the growth is, although it's other areas too, but it really is growing fast in Berlin.
I think you're right, Commissioner. It's been notable really over the last 2 years to see how many subdivisions have gone in Berlin Township. You're absolutely right.
Now, what is a re-subdivision? I know we've seen that, I think, once before.
Sure. So it's a previously platted subdivision. This one is cottages at North Lake Woods, North Lake Woods North. That's located off Four Winds Drive, basically taking an existing lot that was set aside for future development, splitting it up into the final configuration for lots.
Questions or comments, additions? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-622. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-623, in the matter of approving the owner's agreement for Sheets Seldom Seen Road, Sawmill Parkway improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
This is the agreement for the public improvements associated with the sheets, proposed sheets at Seldom Seen and Sawmill Parkway. They will be contributing funds towards a future improvement at Sawmill Parkway and Seldom Seen to upgrade that intersection.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-623. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number
So,
21.
Wait, just a second.
Oh,
We can't let Rob
that's
get away.
We have questions
Giving us a
for,
firm date on Glen Road extension.
Yes, so we will be making offers to the affected property owners through this fall and through the winter, working to settle, get that additional right-of-way. I would expect going to construction probably summer of next year. We'll go to bid probably late winter or early spring. So there should be some opportunities for some cooperation and synergy between the campus site work as well as the road work. So looking forward to that for sure.
That'll go from 36 to 521.
That's correct. So we'll have to work on phasing because most likely we'll start kind of in the middle, do the campus portion of the road and then the south portion at the end, probably following the order in which we can acquire the necessary property. We also have some utility work to do up at Route 521, and without getting into great horrific detail, we've had a good deal of difficulty this year with the utility relocations on some of our current projects. I won't bore you with all the details, but
We face that all the time, and I think you know our view on that. If we had to play hardball, we ought to play hardball. Maybe we are playing hardball, but it seems it's frustrating.
it is very frustrating because we do our very best to give the utility owners a good deal of lead time on these. They have plans well in advance of the project, and unfortunately we have to rely on the schedules they give us, but that's not always what ends up being the case on their end. So we understand there's difficulties on their end as well, but when folks are driving past and see us paving around utility poles, it doesn't look good for any of us. So, but that's really the explanation.
Well, they ask things from us. We don't have to be as responsive.
Yeah, we certainly remind them when they come in for permits to do their work. So yes, sir, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hanson? Yep.
resolution number 21-624, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriations and a transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen First, Fiscal Manager. This resolution has three parts. The first supplemental is just to give us the ability to transfer more cash into the 417 funds and the 420 funds. And for the 420, it's like $766,000 we're asking for, because our casino revenue, we budgeted 1.7 million, and we've already transferred 1.2 because it's rebounded a lot faster than we expected. So, and we have 2 more payments to collect this year. And then the other 146,000, and then the transfer funds and the second supplemental is for the fiber project. We budgeted 478,000, and the part that we're going to pay is like 624,000 is what we're going to pay. So we just need that so we can work on the contract with Steve Lewis. So.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-624. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye. Thanks, Karen.
Resolution number 21-625, in the matter of approving a letter of support to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and the Ohio Family Children's First Council on behalf of Delaware County Family Children's First Council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Yes, we were asked to send a letter by our Family and Children's First organization, and so that's what we're doing here, just to allow us to get a grant. And this grant will assess the local needs and priorities and best practices, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-625. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
We do have an item for other business. If you would like, I can go ahead and address that now. Resolution number 21-626. In the matter of approving the 2022 budget for the Delaware County Veteran Service Commission and authorizing the necessary levy to raise the amount approved.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Benton, second by Commissioner Lewis. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Gallagher, Director of the County Veteran Service Office. Just to hit the wave tops as far as the budget for 2022, we're going to start a preventative care dental and eye program for those vets that are in financial need and fall through the cracks of the VA. Those are two programs that the VA does an excellent job at most of their other programs. Those are two programs that they don't do that great of a job. For example, if you had the way they do it, this is so bizarre. This is something that we need to work on as far as federal legislation, that if your teeth get injured while you're in service, only those teeth are what's covered, not the rest of your mouth. It's bizarre. So Franklin County runs a program similar to that, so that's something that we're going to look at. Again, it's those veterans that are in a financial need. Another thing that we're going to do is increase a transportation program, hopefully with Delaware County Transit as a partner. That's one thing that we're looking at doing, for increasing next year. In the past, we'd only transported veterans to strictly the VA center down in Chalmers. We're starting to do more, but we want to do more than what we're doing right now, which is, recently we've had a veteran that is going through chemo. I can't remember if it was a Grady or a St. Anne's, but we're taking, the veteran obviously can't take him himself. Family's having a hard time doing it. So the hospital reached out to us when we were doing something else, and now we're taking the person down. The other thing that we're going to do is those people that come in to seek financial assistance for us, in the past, we've always just kind of worked through it and then let them go. What we want to do is those people that come in that can get training and help with budgeting and those kind of things, so that way they don't have to come in and see us again. We want to do that. We're going to work on increasing our evening and weekend hours, because a lot of veterans, that need assistance for disability claims and things like that, as they, get older and starting to realize the stuff that they did when they're younger is affecting them whenever they get older, is, they're still working. So to be able to help them out to where they don't have to take time off from work and to do something in the, the evening or the weekend, we want to facilitate that. And one of the last things I had written down here was the resupply of the VVA, with their flags. They do an outstanding job, as well as giving those to other places. If you go to a cemetery around the county as compared to a lot of other cemeteries and counties, you can truly see where the veterans are with the job that they do of putting out the flags. It's something simple, but it does leave a lasting impression, especially for the families that come in to have loved ones that are, in those sites, that see the care that those veterans take. And with that, I'll open it to questions.
I'd just like to comment that thank you and your staff for so many of these excellent services that you're now providing. I know that with the transportation, I remember a few years ago reaching out, and I was just told, no, we can't take someone to a doctor's appointment. It has to be just a VA facility. And I mean, there's just so much that you're doing now.
And there's so much more we can do, and we'll get there.
Yeah, well, and I know you see that, but I see the improvement. And it's just great. Your radio ads, too, are just excellent.
Before, they had all their ducks in one pond, and they spent a huge amount. And what we're spending now is significantly less than what we were, and we're getting a wider reach. For example, this past weekend and last week, we were at the zoo with the Eyes of Freedom. And we had so many people come by. Now, not a lot of them, about maybe a quarter of them were Delaware County vets, but still, all the vets from Franklin County and Union County.
Sure.
We had somebody from Arizona swing by and ask us questions.
Oh, that's
So just
great.
something as simple as doing that, where it didn't cost that much, but the amount of outreach we were able to do down there was just amazing. And we teamed up with the Eyes of Freedom, which was great.
Oh, that's great. I want to make sure that you also mention your event for Korean.
Right. So I
vets.
believe it's the 27th of July.
Yeah.
We're having, we have issues with, the Korean War veterans are starting to become less and less to where, the World War II veterans are pretty much non-existent nowadays. And Korean War veterans are becoming that way. And we've had several of them come in to where some of them just want to come in and talk. They've got issues, but they're also at that age to where, families far away or, something like that, and they want to come in and talk to a veteran. So we had just a couple of them come in within a couple of days, and we were talking, and we decided, it'd be nice is to get all of them in together. Maybe they can, we can go around and put each other's cell phone numbers in each other's phones, so that way they can call each other up and have somebody to talk to. So we're going to bring them in, and, hopefully it'll be a good time for them. And maybe they'll have somebody new that they can reach out to.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'd echo that. Thanks for the leadership and the proactive reaching out, proactive starting new programs or expanding existing programs, finding transportation services, all those things that are so critical to our vets. And, we've just not done as good a job as we should have in the past, and it's great to see we're accomplishing more. It costs some money, but, we're able to find the funding.
Right, and I understand that the budget here, having worked in other offices in the county, I understand, that other offices, the money just doesn't grow on trees. So we're trying to do the best we can, with what we have.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. Again, we're fortunate that we have funding that we can use to help our vets. And some of the programs you're doing to show respect for the vets. I mean, the flags in the cemeteries, that's been hit and miss in the past. Now we're making a much better effort, so that's just great. So
The one thing I think the commissioners should take, honor in is the number of responses I've gotten about the Veterans Plaza out front of this building.
Oh, yeah, right.
Numerous people have said,
good.
how great that is.
Yeah, I agree. That really turned out magnificent. Deservedly so.
Yes.
I'm going to be a little bit redundant. First of all, you talked about the extra hours because it's hard for them because they work during the day. But the other part of that is the people who bring them here may be working during the day, so it's easier for them to bring them in the evening. So
Yes, sir.
taking care of our veterans is something that's very, very important to three commissioners, and I think the taxpayers in our county. And you and I sat down about 3 weeks ago and went through the list. I fully
Right.
support the budget as presented, and taking care of veterans is something we should all take a great deal of pride in. And at this age we live in today, it's unfortunately that's not always true of some of the individuals that are making decisions. But appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any other comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-626. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, man.
I believe we do have any for executive. Well, first of all, is any Commissioner Lewis?
Let's
I see there's no administrative report today.
see. That's right. If there is, we'll all be surprised. Okay. Well, let's see. I went to an event in Kilbourne Friday evening, and I think we were all there at one time or another. It was on the Sheets farmland. Gosh, the Sheets have owned that land for, I believe it was like 116 years. It's remarkable. But they have a now Henmick farm and brewery there. And they just did a beautiful job. It's a beautiful building, and landscaping is great. Their indoor seating, outdoor seating. It was a pleasure to be there and to talk to Nick, who really spearheaded this and was in charge of building the whole thing. And I'll let you take it from there.
Commissioner Benton?
Yes, we did. I think all three of us were there at different times. It was a very well-attended event. Don Houston was there as well. So again, great facility. You know, it's one of those catalysts for Kilbourne and that area as well as all of Delaware County. I mean, it's going to be attractive for a lot of people in the area. Let's see, one thing from the legislation, the budget bill that was passed on June 29th is that we can't hold electronic meetings anymore.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I just want to make sure, you know, we had an issue with Central Ohio Youth Center because we had an electronic meeting scheduled for July 1st.
Oh, God.
And we had to cancel it, reschedule it because they didn't give any phase-in period, no grandfathering of scheduled meetings or anything. So now there are a handful of exceptions, but most electronic meetings are not allowable in terms of voting. You can still have electronic meetings to share information, but not. So anyway, that's one of the big changes. The Fieldhouse USA is an interesting concept. Commissioner Merrill and I were there at this grand opening. Fieldhouse USA is a new facility in the old Sears building in the Polaris Mall. And it's an indoor, they completely gutted the Sears building. They built it out with basketball, tennis, volleyball, soccer, rock climbing, video games, fitness, bounce houses. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
And they said they expect 1.5 million visitors a year in this facility. It's for leagues, it's for individual play and tournaments and so on. So fascinating repurposing of the Sears space at Polaris, and it should provide a lot of economic activity for restaurants and hotels and other shopping in that area, which is really a positive. So glad to see that. Very interesting discussion with the CEO. Again, this is their 6th location across the country, and they're very excited, and I think it'll work very well. Went to the Genoa Township Business Association meeting. Mayor Jill Love from Galena spoke. That was last Wednesday, I think it was. And she's got a lot going on in Genoa, or in Galena, and it's just really neat to see so many positive things happening in Galena. Got a SEPCO board meeting Friday. We got a TID meeting Wednesday and a legislative update Friday, although that likely is going to get canceled, but we'll see. So that's it. A lot going on. We've been almost 2 weeks, I think, since we've met.
It has been a little while, and the CEO here, whose last name I don't recall, trying to be from Texas, and we must have talked to him 5-10 minutes.
Oh,
and, I think it's going to be really good for creating traffic, because parents are going to bring their 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. They're going to have an opportunity to eat and to shop, and so I think traffic-wise it's going to be great, but I think it's going to be well-managed, and safety is important, and I think they've all taken that into consideration, and I think it's going to be a win-win for everyone. And regarding the brewery up north, I think I talked to Nick. He said there's 8 acres that are included. It's not all developed, but a big part of those 8 acres are developed, and it's a pretty impressive facility that I'm sure many people, especially weddings and special occasions, is going to be used for. And it's very imaginative use of that property, and it's just just a little bit north of Kilbourne, and get an opportunity to take a look at it. I have nothing else. I do believe we have need for executive.
Correct. Resolution number 21-627, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of dismissal, discipline, compensation of a public employee or public official, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, for pending or imminent litigation, and for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Lewis, second by Commissioner Benton. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-627. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. We are now in executive session.